Yo, peace was good. Welcome to the installment of Introduction. The artist I'll be talking about today is none other than the Big Daddy Kane. You guys know who Big Daddy Kane is. You know, he was part of Juice Crew at one point. Or he is part of Juice Crew, I should say. And, he got put on by Biz Markie. You know, he used to write Biz Markie's rhymes and stuff like that. Then Biz Markie introduced him to Marley Marl. Marley Marl took some interest into Biz Markie. Excuse me, Big Daddy Kane. And then next thing you know, he started recording his first album, Long Live the Kane. But before I get into the breakdowns of the albums, my introduction to Big Daddy Kane was I honestly don't remember what year it was or when, but I want to say it was like sometime in the late '90s. But I do remember the first song that I heard from it was "Ain't No Half Steppin'." When I heard that joint, I fell in love with that shit. You know, I love this song, everything about it. You know, just like the way he was flowing over that beat. It was just out of this world. There's a book called Check the Technique by my dude Brian Coleman, where he breaks down the album track by track. Like, he interviews Big Daddy Kane and the producers and stuff like that, and they actually talk about how the songs came about. It's pretty dope. I have it somewhere in my house. I have it, but I have to get part two. I know part two got some joints too, but without further ado, I'm gonna break down the albums, what I like, what I didn't like about the album. The first song he put out was Long Live the Kane, that came out in 1988. The songs are known for Raw, which is like one of his most notable songs. Like, that song, he just goes in. That's what people fell in love with, was because of that song Raw. That's what people love about Big Daddy Kane. He was just so ferocious on the mic, on the lyrics and stuff like that. He just goes in. To the point where, like, he'll battle any MC, even to this day. Like, you put him against some of the nicest MCs, he'll give them a challenge. That's how ill he is. Raw, definitely one of his most standout tracks in his career. They got joints like Ain't No Half Steppin', which was a single, Set It Off, I'll Take You There, joints like that. Pretty dope. It's a good album, I like it, but it's not my favorite album like most people it is. Like, when people think of Big Daddy Kane, they always think about the first two albums, which I'm gonna get to the next album. But yeah, definitely check it out. I do have it in my collection. I will have to do a full-length review eventually. I will do it. And then in 1989, he dropped It's a Big Daddy Thing, which I heard. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's actually his best-selling album. Because of the songs like Warming Up Kane, I Get the Job Done, joints like that. But Ain't No Stopping Us to Be Your Man, things like that. But Warming Up Kane is definitely one of the most standout songs off that album. But my favorite track off that album is Easy Mo B's produced song Another Victory, which I think the song he produced two songs. It was Another Victory, which I love the song. That's one of my all-time favorite Big Daddy Kane songs, or Kane songs, as I say. And he had a joint called Call Mr. Welfare. That's another Easy Mo B track. Also, that's actually Easy Mo B's first placement on wax, pretty much. You know what I mean? It's like where he has his name stamped on a record and stuff like that. So I thought it was pretty cool. And the fact that if I'm not mistaken, Big Daddy Kane is actually from Lafayette Gardens, where Easy Mo B and his brother LG, the producer who did stuff for like Ill Al Scratch, he produced the whole album of the Creep With Me album. Classic, I wouldn't say classic, but very dope album from '94, man. That album right there has like that real summer in the '90s, back in the early '90s feel to it. Highly recommended. He produced that whole album. He done stuff for like Supreme NTM, was a notable hip hop group from France. Done some other stuff too. I believe he did some stuff for Shaquille O'Neal on his second album, the Shaq Fu joint. A couple other people he worked with. I can't remember on the top of my head, but I'm getting off topic. But I believe they're both from. I know Easy Mo B's from Lafayette Gardens, but I think Big Daddy Kane is as well, which explains the collaboration with them too over the years and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But like I said, it's a Big Daddy thing. You know, a lot of people consider it like his best album, or some people say his first album is his best album. People say his first two albums are his best albums. Like I said, I think they're both dope, but they're not my favorite albums from them. But they are dope, you know what I'm saying? And then in 1990, he had dropped Taste of Chocolate. And in my opinion, this is where his career was very questionable. And, well, not questionable, but it was on the decline. Like, it's just kind of like it's what a lot of people thought he fell off. Because 1990 was not a good year for him. Just simply because obviously like the album sales weren't as good as the first two albums, but also there was a rumor of him having AIDS, and you know, once somebody has AIDS, people, especially society, shun away from people from that like that, and because Big Daddy Kane is the ladies' man, yeah, like he's a ladies' man and all that stuff, and sleeps around with all these chicks, so. A lot of people just hating on him and spreading rumors, but he even said like I don't have AIDS, you know what I mean? So, but it is what it is. But getting into Taste of Chocolate, known for songs like Can I Do It Right, pretty dope songs, a video for that, All of Me, which oh my god, that has to be one of the worst Big Daddy Kane songs in his discography because. I mean, no disrespect, but I love Barry White. You know what I mean? Because obviously he was a fan of Barry White to get him on the album, but it was just, oh my god, that song. I don't know what he was thinking when he was making that song. Like, they even have a video for that shit. Like, you see him and Barry White in this like, I don't know, it looked like a hotel suite. Barry White is by the piano, and it's kind of like a love ballad between the two, and Big Daddy Kane, like he sounds like one of those like those black R&B radio personalities. Like, hey fellas, ladies and gents, it's the warm-up hour. This is your host, Dr. Love Bug. Like that's what he sounded like, and it's just like it was Kane. That was horrible. That's what really fucked up the reputation of that album, Taste of Chocolate. But then you had joints like It's Hard Being a King, which was alright. But when I first heard that album, it wasn't really my favorite album. When I first heard it, I hated the album. But then listening in like recent years, it's not as bad as I thought it was. It definitely got some dope joints. You got joints like Who Am I featuring Gamila Shabazz, who's Malcolm X's daughter. He's talking about black empowerment. He's actually talking about his affiliation with the 5% Nation, things like that. I thought that was pretty cool. You got joints like Put Your Weight on It, which was pretty cool right there. Down the Line, which is one of the most underrated posse cuts that I've heard. Give me a second. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, Down the Line. One of the most underrated posse cuts in hip hop history. I rarely hear people talk about that posse cut. You know what I mean? But, because people always talk about the Victory song with Puffy and stuff like that. People always talk about what's that song? What's the name of that song? The Points with Biggie. That was off the off the Panther soundtrack, which was dope. There's a bunch of other posse cuts that people talk about, but I rarely hear people talk about Down the Line. That was actually pretty good. Like I said, It's Hard Being a King, Dance with the Devil. Like I said, it got some decent joints, but a lot of R&B influenced tracks was what kind of turned people off. But remember, he's a smooth operator, so. But it's funny too because with this out with Taste of Chocolate, just like with it's a Big Daddy thing, he was actually focused more on making songs, and people weren't used to that. People wanted more of the raw Kane, you know what I mean? And people weren't used to that. People wanted like more like battle-oriented rhymes, but Big Daddy Kane, he didn't want to like keep doing that. He didn't want to be stale or stagnant. So I can understand that, but then I can understand the fans point of view too, because that's how I feel with certain some of my favorite MCs. But you know, you do what you gotta do, but it is what it is. And then in 1991, he had dropped Prince of Darkness, which was his fourth album, known for singles like Groove With It, Raw 91, kind of giving you guys what people wanted from Kane. Like, the people wanted that raw Kane, so he gave you guys Raw 91 and The Lover in You, which you heard in the background right before, right after this song, right before the song, I should say, excuse me. But my opinion, Prince of Darkness, I think it was a better album than Taste of Chocolate. Production wise, has better production in my opinion. And you know, yeah, it did have like some slow jams and stuff like that, like some slow R&B type of tracks. But he added a little bit more barrier oriented tracks, more hip hop flavored tracks. You know, you got songs like Ooh Ah Nah Nah, Brother Brother, which the first song you heard on the video featuring Little Daddy Shane was his little brother. You got Trouble Man, you got Come On Down with Q-Tip and Busta, Raw 91, Get Down, Death Sentence. I mean, this is a dope album, very underrated. The album cover, I could admit, is kind of creepy. It's kind of look like I don't say kind of like a stalkerish kind of type of dude. You know, he's in a white suit. He sees a girl sitting, like he's like in some type of like balcony. And he sees a girl sleeping. It looks like a suspense movie type of shit. You know what I mean? But it's a dope album. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. I prefer that over Taste of Chocolate. That's just my opinion. And then, and then in 1991, around that time, he actually did he posed for Playgirl, and that's when he was with Madonna. Like when, you know, people saying like he fucked Madonna and stuff like that. To this day, you know, he kind of denies it. I think he did, but who cares? You know, it is what it is. Yeah, and then, you know, he posed for her book that she put out back in '91 called Sex. You know, that was a big controversy, things like that. But and then in 1993, he had dropped his fifth album, Looks Like a Job 4. And that's actually one of my favorite Big Daddy Kane albums. You know, because around that time, you know, like I said, like his popularity kind of went downhill. It's just his appeal wasn't as big as it used to be before. But then for me, what Looks Like a Job 4 was, to me, in my opinion, was his comeback album. You know, he kind of gave you guys the old Kane, but with a more street influence to it. It kind of reminded me a little bit of LL Cool J's 14 Shots to the Dome. And speaking of that, in my opinion, I think LL Cool J and Big Daddy Kane had similar careers because, like I said before, you know, the first two albums people liked. You know, the whatchamacallit, the Radio album and the Bigger and Deafer album, people loved those albums. But then when he dropped Walk with a Panther, a lot of people shunned it because, you know, people were saying it was too commercial, which it was. I did a review on that album. I didn't like that album. It's every one of his worst albums. I could have done without that song, with that album, but it definitely plays an important part in his career. But it is what it is. But getting back to this album, Looks Like a Job 4, like I said, definitely has like a more street appeal to it. Like I said, it's definitely reminiscent of 14 Shots to the Dome by LL Cool J. It's more street. I mean, you got joints like how you get a record deal, which there is a video for. I like the line where he says, "You better treat me like Freddy Krueger, don't sleep." I mean, who thinks like that? I think that's pretty dope right there. That was produced by Trackmasters. That's when Trackmasters, before they got all shiny and poppy and shit like that. You know what I mean? This is before, you know, Foxy Brown Trackmasters, the Firm Trackmasters. You know what I mean? You know, like I said, the bad boy, shiny, tiny. You know what I'm trying to say. Mad joints, Stop Shamming, Brother Man. Here Comes Kane, Scoob and Scrap, Niggas Never Learn, Enough Respect remix. I mean, it's a dope album. That's definitely, like I said, it's his comeback album in my opinion. Very underrated if you ask me. Very slept on in my opinion. Dope. You know, we got some dope album producers, such like I said, Trackmasters, Easy Mo B, Lost Professor, cats like that. You can't go wrong with that. All right, and then next song he put out was his sixth album, Daddy's Home, um, which came out in '94. That was another dope album too. It was good. It had some decent joints. Not his best, but I think it was a looks like a job for part two. But it didn't really capture the spark like it did, like the looks like a job for. Um, by that time, Big Daddy Kane was considered like played out in a sense. You know what I mean? People just weren't really digging his shit anymore because I guess people thought he was like old school and stuff like that. He was like one of those '80s, those '80s MCs and stuff like that, just making music still. But you got joints like In the PJs, which they have a video for. Show and Prove, produced by DJ Premier, with Scoob Lover, who was like Big Daddy Kane's dancer, but he's a rapper as well. Sauce Money, Shaheem, Jay-Z, and Old Dirty Bastard. Sauce Money, this was like his introduction. This was the introduction to Sauce Money to the world for the first time as well. Well, Jay-Z, he was featured on Original Flavors Can I Get Open, but people didn't really know who Jay-Z was at that time. And yeah, he was featured on the Originators, but that was when he was like more underground, and he was with Jazzo. But I think this is a song that actually got him out there in a sense, because Big Daddy Kane by that time he was a household name at that time, but like I said, his popularity just kind of went downhill and stuff like that. Oh, and I forgot to mention, in 1993, it was a big year for him because he was featured in two movies. He was featured in the movie Posse with Mario Van Peebles, which deals with black cowboys back in the day, and also he was in the movie Meteor Man. If you guys seen that movie, Robert Townsend, dope movie. And it's funny too because I watched it I think about a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, and he was actually part of the Golden Lords. If you've seen that movie, Meteor Man, you had that gang that was terrorizing DC at that time in the movie, the Golden Lords. Well, he was part of that, which I didn't realize until watching it. I thought that was pretty cool. But getting back to Daddy's Home, like I said, it's a pretty dope album. But it just didn't really catch any fire. I mean, yeah, the heads liked it, but again, it didn't really catch fire. But you got joints like Brooklyn Style, That's How I Did 'Em, The Way It's Going Down. You got Let It Go, Don't Do It to you got some dope joints on that album. And then he took a quick break. He took a long break around 4 years. Yeah, he would appear on people's albums, like appearances and like on 12 inches and stuff like that. And then he dropped his last album to date that he actually put out, and it was actually called Veterans Day. And it's funny too because Veterans Day is coming up, I think next week, like sometime next week. And Veterans Day, not a good album in my opinion. Like it definitely had a couple decent joints, like songs like La La Land, Telling Your Arrow, which was actually my favorite song on the album. There's decent joints, but a lot of filler tracks, you know what I mean? Way too many filler tracks in my opinion. You can tell he was trying to go for the more commercial route, but not bad boy not the bad boy way, but you can tell he's trying to get radio play, and it just didn't work for him. And that's pretty much it, guys. Yeah, like I said, that was his last album. Like I said, I have all of his albums. I'll definitely be doing a review on those albums eventually. And if I'm not mistaken, he was supposed to come out with an album back in the early 2000s, but that never came to fruition. But then he came out with a song back in '02 called "Man of My Own" with DJ Premier producing it. Dope song right there. He in that song he actually talks about 9/11 and stuff like that. And then over the years he's we're featured on people's projects and stuff like that. And he does a lot of tours too. So, but that's pretty much it, man. I think Big Daddy Kane, he's definitely one of the greatest of MCs of all time, in my opinion. He definitely could spit. Definitely one of the illest lyricists to touch the mic. I mean, I would love to see him perform because I've seen some of his performances, and the dude is a dope entertainer, man. Um, he's an MC's MC. Like any MC that's hot out right now, he'll out rap him in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But yeah, man, if you guys like that video, definitely let me know what you guys think. What's your favorite Big Daddy Kane album? What's your least favorite? Let me know. Talk to me, man. Thank you guys for all your comments and stuff like that. It definitely inspires me to make more videos. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty excuse me. And that's pretty much it, folks. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. Hold it down. Happy Friday. Stay positive. Peace.